Yeah, sorry, I had my phone plugged in, and I know I'm late as always. I was in there shaving or whatever, and I had my phone charging, so I didn't know exactly what the time it was. And then, yeah, of course, I'm like always like 8 minutes late or some shit. That's just how it goes. Um, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself because I'm gonna be doing a couple of things. Hello, everybody that's here, and everybody that's gonna end up coming in, even though you're not gonna hear this at the moment. But yeah, give me around 3 or 4 minutes. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just muting myself because I need to put a shirt on and all that stuff. So yeah, 3 4 minutes, maybe five. Not even tops. I'm trying to be as fast as possible. I promise. Ah, follow me. Look at all these fucking wankers, dude. Act like they were waiting on some of your some bullshit.
Hi.
What's a shivvy? I don't know, but it smells like shit. Can y'all hear me, motherfuckers? Or do I need to speak louder? Or forever hold your pieces or whatever the hell y'all do. You fucking weirdos. Oh, and shout out to Noe and Diana, FYI, for reminding me exactly why I called the Derp Squad and named the Derp Squad the Derp Squad. Just thought I'd let y'all know. I mean, I figured it out. For a while there, I actually forgot why I named him that. I thought it was just being an asshole. But then I'm like, she said something tonight that literally, I was out in public, y'all, okay? I was fucking in public. I don't know, the darkness and retardedness of what was said just literally made me spit out like some soda in a public place. I'm not even joking. It's just, I don't know. You got to understand the situation as I say that. Should I wait to tell that part of the joke? Because I don't know. To me, it's fucking hilarious. Because it's like, this is why I gave them that name. And now she's involved. So that's even more funnier for me. So that's great. We're going to have to officially nominate. Well, actually, I make the Derp Squad, and I'm the person that controls the Derp Squad, technically, since I made the name. So I think we should just make Diana an honorary member of the Derp Squad. What do y'all think? Hilarious. No, no, you have no idea why it's hilarious, okay? I will explain it here in a second, though. But as the controller of the Derp Squad, since technically I thought of the name, so I own the rights. You know what I mean? Okay. Well, I do believe she's earned her right to now become an official member of the Derp Squad. Because as I'm sitting there in public, I don't even know if I should say this. She'll probably kick my ass for saying it. Is she live right now? If she is, I'm safe. I can talk all the shit I want. That's why I gotta make sure. Can y'all even hear me? I don't even fucking know if y'all can actually hear what the hell I'm saying in the first place. Be on the lookout of this motherfucker. That's not confirming whether or not you can actually hear what the fuck I'm saying. Okay, we will sit here and wait till somebody says yeah or no. Yep, yep. I mean, actually, some of y'all are gonna see. Yeah, see, there we go. That wasn't difficult, was it? Okay, guys. Now I want you to hear this, and some of y'all are gonna know right away because y'all have been around like I have. And the other one of y'all are gonna be like, I don't get it, I don't get it. And then, yeah, the majority of you are just gonna be like, why would they say something so stupid? And that's exactly why I made the Derp Squad because they always said shit that was so stupid. I don't know. Sometimes when somebody says something so stupid in front of you, you want to slap them. Okay, now think about this. They would say things, and I'm not even trying to insult them. It's just to you, if you know the actual truth behind it, it's just like I don't. They say something so silly that not only do you want to slap them, right? You want to slap yourself for somehow putting yourself in the situation to actually hear them say it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're dumber yourself just for being in the same room as. You get it, right? Okay, okay. So this is what Diana asked me on the phone. She's probably getting mad at me. It's okay. It's okay. It's hilarious. And she said that Noe has this theory that Gibbo is married to Sunny Justice of the other channel, and I'm like, that might be just the most retarded thing I have heard all month, Diana. She's, what do you mean? And I'm like, bro, you do realize her co-host or her former co-host was Aspen, aka Adam. Adam is a member of the yes, the troll forum. and anybody that and everybody that's attached to everybody in the certain vein, blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's basically yeah. We're supposed to know all that shit, and yeah, if you scroll back far enough into her lives, you will see he's been on there before, guys. So if you're wondering that, that's no, that's just dumb. That's really dumb. That's like thinking Mark Cohen's fucking Babylonian cowboy. No, that's even worse because I hate Mark. I don't really hate him, but he annoys the shit out of me, right? So, but Cowboy's my homie. So, yeah. And there's all kinds of weird things I'm hearing about. Like, I don't know, guys. I don't know if I should say it because people might get their hopes up and they might start. I have heard that a certain organization is collapsing upon itself, oddly enough, at this very moment, actually. And certain particular members have literally gone, I guess, AWOL or whatever, because they've left all Discord servers. They left all, well, they deleted their accounts. They left all Facebook groups, all calling groups, all this and all that. I honestly have no idea what the fuck's going on, but it's interesting to see from afar. Like, I don't know. See, basically, a lot of the members I know of or whatever have basically already left in way, shape, or form whatsoever. So, FBI, what you, full-blooded Italians? I don't understand what the hell you're talking about, dude. Hold on. Sonny's hubby is from, yeah, but that doesn't. Yeah, I never said he wasn't British, guys. Okay, I didn't say that at all. I know that dude. He's been on the show before. He's an actual tall, manly-looking dude, from what I remember. Um, I can understand what the fuck he says. Yeah, all the time, even if you don't see him for a long ass period of time, for like a year or more. If you just pay attention close enough, once in a random while, you'll just randomly hear his voice pop out of nowhere. And trust me, nothing like, you know, that person. Nothing. Like, I can understand every word that comes out of his mouth. You get what I'm saying? And usually I can with British people, see? Um, I don't know why, when it comes to that specific one, it becomes so difficult for me to understand what the hell they're saying. You know what I mean? And yes, we're going to get on the boys in the tracks real. Where are you coming with the FBI again? Oh, I don't. Well, there's a funny story to that too, but I don't think I want to tell it. I'll tell you on um, Discord, Jiggy. In fact, I'll tell all y'all because I don't know. As I said, I don't. Some of y'all I told, some of y'all didn't told. There's at least a decent partial reason that they might have been sticking their nose into all kinds of shit lately. On top of a couple of more directly related things. So there's probably been at least, I don't know, 4 to 5 different specific people that have drawn attention to that area of the United States recently to the federal government. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm looking for my comb real quick. And I remember that because you wouldn't believe how many random questions I get from former members and stuff lately, asking me if I know why they're trying so hard to keep things contained. And I fucking hate that shit. It doesn't usually really make a difference because I'm in a dark room 90% of the time, anyways. You become strong in the dark. I was born there. But yeah, no, I keep getting these fucking questions, and they keep asking me shit like, "How the fuck did you get into this?" I know people have a lot of mysteries they want solved in the world, but what I'd like to know, right, and it's very important to me, I'd like to know how the fuck wires get so tangled up, like we didn't even do anything with them. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Holy fucking shit. Yeah, see, I can accidentally leave the camera on, but y'all can't see shit. Isn't that hilarious? Because I come from the darkness. Look, I'm making funny faces. Y'all, can y'all see it? Probably not. Yeah, didn't think so. Hi, Happy. I didn't even say hi to everybody yet. I think I insulted Chibi and made fun of Diana and Noe. But oh my It couldn't be that easy, right? Are you able to hear me now? Nothing? Nada? Hello? Yeah, I figured out why I couldn't hear myself. Apparently, I forgot to add myself to the stage. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Okay. Y'all did understand the part when I was, picking on Diana and Noe for saying dumb stuff. So that's good. Okay. So y'all heard that. Okay. Shh, okay. I never said I was smart or anything like that. Y'all motherfuckers just assume it. Okay. Don't even look at me. Y'all just assume this shit. I tend to agree with that whole fact statement, everything whatsoever. Uh, I'm an idiot with really good common sense, kind of, with a really good memory. That's all I am. Wow. You know it's pretty derpy. No, no, no. Okay, I'm still not the derpiest one today. Thank you very much. Them thinking that freaking Sonny Justice is married to you know who. No, 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 no. That's beyond any level of comprehension of darkness I could, reach. Just saying, that's well beyond my capabilities. Is somebody else live or something? Because it's not even that late. And it keep, yeah, the numbers are low. Why is the AirPods not working? Don't worry, we'll get on the other stuff soon. Gosh. Y'all want the damn lives to come earlier? Well, to get it earlier, you're going to have to put up with me always being, well, I usually am always late. That's just how I am. So. Aspirin. You mean aspirin? Aspirin. You mean Osbrook? Aspirin. Who the fuck is aspirin? I mean, unless it's Osbrook. Are you talking about Gumby or Gummy or Toothless Aggression? Oh, Aspen. Aspen. Whale. I tend not to. I mean, how do I put it? I never reached out to him to ask him myself how things were going. I do know the last time. I know I haven't seen any. I get who you're talking about. You're talking about Adam, aka Aspen. Adam is, um, yeah, his real name. So yeah. Um, I didn't. I don't think he took what happened with Captain Howdy very well, and after that, he slowly started having a falling kind of situation because soon after he faced, hey, we don't need to laugh or make fun of others for their misfortune. As far as I'm concerned, is the no, that's Luis, dog. That's definitely Louise. Everybody knows that because she says he's hung like a horse. Everybody knows that. But no, Aspen ain't. Yeah, what wrong has Aspen ever did us? As far as I'm concerned, not a damn bit. So I mean, I'm more or less talking about myself in this regard. But I mean, looking at the chat, the people in my group or whatever, he ain't really done nothing in you guys. I don't even know if he's. I mean, has he even really made fun of Prof for anybody? I don't know. Nah. I mean, I don't know. He's like, I don't know. Y'all just like the weirdest fucking people. And it's like, to me, it's just weird because it's like they never done anything bad that I can see. I mean, the only person I've seen ever, that's what I'm saying. I know him and he's genuinely a good dude. He's like a more not shy, not autistic Tom Webster. And I love Tom Webster. But Tom Webster's really smart, but I think that's part of the autistic thing. So, yeah. I mean, the only person I've ever heard of that was offended by something Aspen ever did should make y'all like him even more because that was Bossy. What's Bossy? Yeah, it was yeah, the only one I ever heard, and that was from what she said. That's what just like I don't know what she's talking about. I'm like, okay. So if the only person he's downright like, oh, and Sonny, of course, because well, I'm not gonna get into that. That's their business. Blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. Um, but technically, I don't even know if he actually did anything wrong to these people. So I don't know. It seems kind of weird. I kind of miss him actually. He was pretty good at fucking making videos and shit. But yeah, I don't remember him really hating on too many people at all. So I can get being wishing. I don't know, not even wishing, just like being, con- being kind of happy when somebody bad has something bad happen. That I can get. I still shouldn't, but I get it. No. Aspen was always cool to me. Yeah, it's just always decent dude. And it's like other people. I know who they hang out with, and I know I don't like the person they hang out with or the people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to hate on them just because that's what they hang out with. Well, it all depends. I get moods, get kind of moody sometimes. Tell massive chats full of people or massive groups that, hey, I'm going to dox all y'all. That's just me venting. Don't worry about it. Yes, Sunny does. She's making actually. She's got some decent views for quite a while now. She's been busting her ass on that. As how Sunny got here in the first place, I do believe she got popular because of who's that guy who killed his wife and the two daughters and put them in the oil container? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like Rich or what's his name? Wait. Wait. Nicole. Chris Watt. Yeah. That's if I remember correctly, that's how Sunny started getting popular in the first place. She was covering the Chris Watt case. Yeah. And I know that she's getting a lot of. It seems like I stopped by a few times to say hi or whatever, but she's been doing the same thing now with the those British Columbia or whatever kids that went missing or some shit. You know what I mean? So I think she's like at least well over 13 to 16,000 subs. She's definitely boosting their shit now again. So apparently it does pay off to like get involved in a bunch of bullshit drama, guys. Because if you just keep your nose down and fucking go case by case, reach for current events and all kinds of other stuff and the news, yeah. So I mean, honestly, good for her. I really am happy for her. I think if I remember right, I think her co-host now is like Charmaine or whatever her name is. That used to be her one for a long time. At least every single time I tune in, it seems. Yeah, that's like criminality's sleuthy goosey. You know what I'm saying? Which ain't a bad thing because, like I said, I like both of them. They're cool people. They've always been good to me. So. All right, I'm letting the laptop. See, I wanted to take the laptop and shit into the house, but I need to wait a minute. I mean, cause I don't know. I might go on camera. I might not. I'm debating still. I got to find my comb, but I'm letting the laptop get a little bit of charge, probably like about 15%, to get ready for what it's going to play. So it's like bear with me. And as things are going to go by, like recently and lately and everything else, it's not going to just be murders that I cover, even though I do have a bajillion still left to talk about. Obviously, I mean, there's just so much I need to fucking talk about that I can't even remember what I need to fucking talk about. It's like I have murder ADHD. But yeah, as I was saying the other day, I'm going to speak some part of this. I'm going to tell y'all some of this, and some of it is going to come from a newer documentary that I was able to find, at least it took almost 2 hours long at least. So, uh, like I said, it's up to y'all. We can do the talkie thing for most of the time, or we can watchy and talkie or whatever. Where's everybody at? I didn't even share the link. Oh, Will. Oh my god. Hey, fishy. Maybe make an outline. Hey, that sounds like way too much effort for somebody that does not get paid a penny to do. Okay? I am lazy. The moment this actually takes some sort of effort, I don't know. That might be the last straw. Like, no, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm sure. No, because I'm writing something at the moment in time too, and then I have places I got to go and things I got to do, and I didn't even have time to go to the fucking game rooms today, and that means I broke my own streak, and I now and that just sucks. Lame. How about you make me an outline, Fishy, and then I'll try my best to stick with it, okay? All right. But yeah, I'm letting these devices charge up a little bit longer, probably like another 8, 9, 10 minutes tops. So, how's everybody's day? Fishy, Dino, Dino be talking a lot. Holy shit, man. It's spamming my junk. What the fuck? Is there some other live going on, or did everybody go to sleep, or what? I don't care. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Heavy. I think I already said that. Oh, well. Hi, Charles. Okay, that's good. Yeah, see, Dino's been threatening my life if I didn't get back onto the Clinton body count since I took 1 night off of it. No, I'm just kidding. 1K, what? 2Y, 3A, LOL. Y'all do realize that I got magical buttons that can ban even mods, right? I wonder what happens. Yeah. That's weird. Ooh, so I can click it. And, oh, interesting. This is different than usual. Huh. Ooh, I can put mods inside out too. See, yeah, this is different than when you're on Android and stuff. That's weird. Just clicking somebody was enough to ban somebody before. All right. Technically, even though, wait. Oh, that's a little days ago. You should make all this shit, fuckface. Stupid fuckface. And there's got to be some other lives because where the fuck is loser should be at? Okay, Charles is live. That's good to know. Ruckus thinks somebody's guilty as fuck. Old videos. Lovely. Fucking mosquitoes, man. But yeah, okay, sorry, you know. Oh, I said it. Give me like 5 or 6 minutes, y'all, man, to charge up the laptop so I can move it without it doing a full reset on itself. All right. Seems like everybody's pissy tonight. Jeez. Yeah, I guess we got like a hurricane or some shit heading towards us or whatever, so everybody's freaking out about that as usual. Try to stop back. Yeah, it's all good, dude. You don't have to if you don't want to or whatever. I wasn't trying to make anybody mad. I just feel like I was 2 minutes behind because I was shaving, that's all. And now I'm about to send off links to everybody. And suddenly, yeah. Fishy, didn't I make you admin in the Discord? I think, right? Pretty sure I made you and Dan admins in there. Right? I think. Did I? What? Ballistics don't lie. A video I didn't want to make. What? What are you talking about? Are y'all talking about fucking Charlie Kirk or some shit or what? Not y'all, but I don't know who any of these people are. Oh, my dog's okay. Not the one that actually died. I mean, Peggy's dog that she offered to give me a long time ago, and I now still call it mine. So, yeah. Trolls, regular people, how are you all doing tonight? I hope you're well. Not really, but yeah. Let's pretend I hope you were well. No, I'm just kidding. All right, phone is on to 60%. Laptop's up to 8%. I guess I will need fucking listen to this, man. It's really talking to me. It's lame as fuck. Gosh. Hold on, I got it. Huh. Oh, there's just another storm. Hold up. Could this be much more than a butt? You're a disgusting predator and ow! And you had some nerve to send this to me. It made me feel very uncomfortable. Huh? What is she talking about? I'm gonna read it. Oh. Oh, I can't see what she's talking about, but I'm gonna assume Gibbo probably fucking mooned her too. Because I've talked to about like I don't know 6 people total lately that apparently has seen his ass, and no, we're not talking about the all of them because he's all ass, and we're not talking about the thing on top of his neck either because it just looks like an ass. So yeah, you catch my drift. So hold on, let me get this straight. Women can moon men all they want, but if a man moves a woman, then it's like, oh hell no, no, yeah. I don't even know what the picture actually was of, but I'm just gonna assume that's what it was. I mean, you're talking about the same dude that doesn't send anybody dick pics for one. We all know what the obvious reason he doesn't, and for two, um, he doesn't like showing his face. Well, I guess I'll just get some certain midnight speed. What the fuck? I'm not gonna. That sounds like some Q, whatever bullshit. All right, let's set this up. I'm setting up another documentary. That way I can just finish grabbing stuff and stop at some point and talk to y'all. Blah blah blah. That way, yeah, whatever. So give me a second. I'm setting it up right now.
When you are living through the events of your life on a day-to-day basis.
Mystery of the boys on the tracks. One night in August, two lives that were cut short.
I guess you can start with that.
Well, when at first, because he's a little bit out there, always has been. When I first heard
all right, I'm going to start with some video footage or whatever, concerning, yes, even though we are going to talk about the Clinton body count more as a whole as time goes by, we still need to finish the boys on the track, which we're not even close to. So I'm going to get back to more focusing on directly to that because there's a lot of information added on and all that since all that occurred and most people don't know about. So let me share screen real quick. Yeah. Stage. There we go. You know it's working right when the weird shit starts looking weird. So there you go. Now I know what you're thinking. You're wondering what the hell this would have to do with any of that. You're just gonna have to trust me. All right.
This is Billy, right? And I went back and I started looking at the case. Those kids were found. Their bodies were found on like it looked like a train had hit them.
Yeah.
They had very obvious bullet wounds, and the chief pathologist for the state of Arkansas ruled it death by getting hit by a train. And so I mean, a lot of real oddities to it. So, and Billy was at that time doing a lot of drugs and stuff.
That is not Billy Jack Chains, by the way. That is what the hell was that guy? Shane Douglas. That's Shane Douglas, a former professional ECW World Heavyweight Champion in professional wrestling. And if you're wondering what the fuck he's talking about, he's trying to say what he knows about the Waste of the Tracks murders, but in fact, he's so very wrong. Neither boy had any gunshot wounds, as we already know. The one boy had his head bashed in, probably with his own rifle, while the other boy was stabbed through the back with a knife. Just not trying to confuse you.
Like the muscle pulling and that, it wouldn't shock me if it's true.
No, it wouldn't shock me.
Google a story called Boys on the Tracks.
Boys on the Tracks. Yep. The kids that were mysteriously killed, I guess. Yeah. And on the train tracks, from what I gather from it, they were wrapped up in some type of green bag and left on the train.
They were under
tracks, and the train ran them over. From what I gather, the doctors originally said that they overdosed on marijuana.
That is true.
It passed out, but it was later found that they maybe only had the equivalent of 2 or 3 joints in their system, And
Yeah,
that would have
moved it.
explained the garbage bag. And then I guess a private investigator who was doing some investigating later was killed mysteriously. So there's a lot of
Wow, he's missing all kinds
mystery
of
around this
information. But okay.
death. So what is it that you know about it?
I know all about it.
Like what was
I
your
do
exact
too.
experience that night?
My experience is this. I was contracted to go down there to kill two Arkansas State police officers that were stealing drops. They stole up to $2 to $4 million is what I was told. And so to make that kind of money, I would have done it. I did it. I'm guilty. But that's not the way it happened, you know. There ended up being, I was there at the drop site. The drop landed. Other witnesses said the same thing, corroborated exactly what I said 30 years after. Witnesses came forward and said they seen a kid being beat up by a couple of cops, taken back where the area by the tracks. The drop was right by, or near the tracks, maybe 100 feet, 120 feet. Went to the tracks, we're on the tracks, using the phone when we see the kids. The kids took out, the cops took off, the two cops that were involved in the drops took out after them, brought them back, and they've been beaten with flashlights. And they were over the shoulders of the two cops. The cops dropped them by the railroad tracks. I was up on the tracks, and I didn't do it, but I was there, so I'm an accomplice. It doesn't make no difference. They took and threw them up on the track.
So why were the kids were just accidental witnesses? Is that the issue with the kids?
That's right. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I guess they were deer spotlighting. And so I said, these are just young kids. One kid was already dead. One kid was already beaten to death. And Kevin Ives was a kid that was alive. And he said he don't want to leave no witnesses. I said, well, it was a clean drop. I said, there was nothing taken at the drop site. And so I didn't want the kid to get killed. And one of the cops took the butt of the rifle and butted him in the back of the head and split his head. Boom, I just split him right in two. Killed him instantly. Threw him up on the tracks by the hair and the crotch. They were handcuffed behind the back when he came back. And then I was told, and I did, put him between the tracks. But the tracks,
You didn't actually see them put the kids on the tracks. You were
I helped with the kids on the tracks. No, I was there.
okay.
I helped. You know, and then what you said was a green tarp. It was a tarp that was put over them so they'd be hidden when the train came by. I guess at 4:30, a train came by and ran over them. And they said they fell asleep because of, like you said, pot, and nothing to do with pot. You know, they were already dead. They'd been murdered.
So why were you going to kill the police? You said that
Because they lied about it. All the guys, the inside cops that were there were the ones that were stealing. They saw me there and they were freaked out. Who's this guy? Because I was under a mask and gloves. I didn't tell you that. And then I was there with the sheriff, Sheriff Steed and I. So they were wondering, who the hell is this? So they couldn't steal any money that day.
Yeah.
On the drop. Those drops, sometimes there's $2 million cash and $2 million in coke. It just depends on what they drop. It's in Alexander, Arkansas. So
who was making the drop though?
the drops were made by, there's drops all over the place.
That the laptop because it's so stupid usual bullshit that it does on MacBook. Um, yeah, him basically. If you've never heard the name or heard anything about somebody named Billy Jack Haynes, um, I don't know. It's kind of a weird story because he's a former professional wrestler, and not for the WWE or not for the WWF either. It was for Vince McMahon's actual father's company that Vince later bought and turned into the WWF, which then he turned when he got sued by the World Wildlife something or other. He had to change it again to WWE because he did not have the ownership of the trademark of the WWF. And I think they were called the Blackjacks or something like that. He was him and somebody else, some other guy was tag team, maybe champions or some shit. So we're not even talking about like one of the good ones or whatever. We're just talking about I guess he's alright. But yeah, he was at the time he would basically go territory to territory, as he claims being a because yeah, that was just a quick little 11-minute like thing or whatnot that died in the middle of everything. But yeah, um, there are parts. I mean, I'm going to inform people that we don't know if we can actually believe what the fuck he's saying. For one, for two, Blackjack Haynes has made a lot of bullshit claims about a whole kinds of shit um, in interviews for about the last like 15 to 20 plus years. That's basically the moment he left wrestling. He's been running his mouth about all kinds of shit, and a lot of it was not true. So, but I will say one thing in his favor. Uh, what he did say just now that you heard was basically him correcting Hannibal, who was like a professional wrestler, I guess, watcher or whatever, about the case and the facts that he knew him as. And yes, the facts as he just said them all to Hannibal were correct. About the tarp, the one boy having his head bashed in. I think he was about to say that the other boy was stabbed, as in Kevin Ives was stabbed, because he was. Um, through the back, yeah, because the stab wound was shown through the shirt and all that, and that's how they were able to prove it in the first place. So it happened before the train, not after or during. Um, Now, as I am saying this, and I defended him a tiny bit on what I believe, to be honest, he didn't come out with his story about all this until long after everybody knew, basically, that wanted to know, especially if you're anywhere near that area, the details of these crimes. He didn't come out. I think the murders happened in 1987. We didn't hear shit from Blackjack Haynes until 99, maybe 2000, might even after 2000. So take it that all that, but well, yeah, like a grain of salt, basically, because this is somebody that's used to being in the spotlight, and I don't want to call him a narcissist without knowing him and stuff or whatnot, but he seems like a type of person that wants to get back into the spotlight. And if you can make a claim around this such and such amount of time, it might be good enough to do the job. So, I mean, but there is something else I want to add about that. I don't know if it adds credibility to what he's saying or what. And if you know what I'm talking about, shh. All right, restore session. So I can pull this up because yeah. There is one more interesting thing involving Blackjack Haynes that did occur after that interview just now that you saw. Let me find it real quick and then I will put it.
Well, when at first, because he's a little bit out there, he always had.
All right. Million Jack Haynes. All right. Okay. Which one should I pick? Now, also, I'm not sure how to cut and tape this, guys. I mean, I don't even know who's all even paying attention or whatever. But yeah, it's gonna get a little bit more weirder, guys. Okay, I'm trying to figure out which one of these I want to actually play and see if there are any more people I know. And honestly, if you look up these specific people that are making claims, including the one prostitute that does blame the Clintons and stuff, there is a lot of back and forth of people that are on the fence or just plain out and simply do not believe what people like Blackjack Haynes and the prostitute or whatever says. Uh, Trying to. Hmm, 1 second. But as I was saying, this is another little. I'm going to give you a little. Another little interview thing involving Blackjack Haynes. I don't know if it's going to make his credibility look good or look bad or what. But this is all coming from the man who claims to be one of the 8 people or 6 people or whatnot that was at the scene that night. But there are differences. But the prostitute, her recollection of the people that were there that night seems a lot more credible. There's a whole podcast about the wizard.
Why, I don't know. I don't know if there was competition between him and Brett. I don't know. But
let's see what's on the game screen. Hold on. All right, I'm trying to figure out why it's not showing what it's supposed to be showing. 1 second, you guys. Did it shut down StreamYard again? No, there's StreamYard. So what the fuck? All right, that's fair. No. Huh. This should be the wrong one, I think. Okay, let's try this again.
he stayed. David
No,
Boy
I'm
Smith stayed.
not seeing it again. Oh, now it's working. Okay, it's just a nasty delay. My apologies. All right, we'll start this video because it's not a very long one. So
I lost my promoter's license. Everything was pretty much over with me. And anyway, what happens? He overdoses. Was on Vince's watch? No, he went to WCW for a while. Where did he start his drug? With you, Vince!
if y'all came here, just say something in chat.
Wasn't so Oregon? You had one in California. You had one in Colorado. Oh, man, you even had, like, what was it? 130 Oregon. I don't get this. You got off with Oregon, too, man. I didn't go to that trial. You know, it was all staged anyway. I didn't go to that trial. Okay. Going hard. Now, does anybody other than me doesn't see the writing on the wall here? Owen Hart fell 70 feet to his death at the Kemper Arena May 23rd, 1999. I remember the day well. Paid per view. He's on a harness that holds 2, 3, 4 tons. You tell me how the fuck that's gonna break. But it did. But in 96, go back 3 years, Bret Hart knocked out. Vince was one punch on a screw job that happened in Montreal. I have to say that. Now, everybody left. David Boy Smith, Bret Hart, Neidhart, they all left, but Owen Hart stayed. Why, I don't know. There was competition between him and Bret, I don't know. But he stayed. David Boy Smith stayed. In WCW for a while, I talked to him. He was worried about this. He told me he might even be involved in it. He was so high he didn't know. We just popped pills together. Next thing you know, he falls to his death. Dead. On your watch, Vince. Steroids? Everybody took them. We're not talking about steroids here. We're talking about other drugs. Was he slipped something? Or was it the mechanical lever jam worked? Well, we'll never know, because you know why? So I'm going to read this. Look at this right here. November 2nd, 2000. Year and a half later, we saw the WWF give, not go to court and fight after a year and a half and fight for the insurance company. Vince gave the Hart family $18 million that was distributed among the Hart family. The after the settlement was reached, why didn't you stay with the insurance company and go to court? Was there something wrong with the mechanism, Vince? Duh! In my world, you killed him. Then when this man, and you took...
All right, I gotta be abundantly clear on what was just said. There was a lot of truth there, but there was a lot of bullshit there as well. Owen Hart was never killed by a faulty mechanism or harness or whatever, not the switch or whatever. Vince if I remember correctly, and I'm sure somebody like Dino or whatever is going to let me know if I'm wrong in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. But Vince basically wanted to save some money, so he got the right equipment as he was supposed to get to do the whole quick release thing or whatever is what it was called, because they wanted to make it look like Owen, who was the blue something or other. I can't remember what the fuck they called it. It was dumb shit. And he was supposed to look like he fell accidentally into the ring like an idiot, this and that. Probably like, I don't know, 7 feet up or whatever. No big deal. Just make him look more dumb than usual. That's all that was supposed to happen. Um, Now, to save money, what Vince didn't want to do was, there wasn't anything wrong with the harness. Never was anything wrong with the harness as far as anybody else knows. It's been examined, I guess, by the wrongful death trial and all kind of other stuff before it even got to the point. And it wasn't the equipment that seemed to be the issue for Owen Hart. It was the fact that the WWE, or whatever they were called at the time, which was probably WWF, used to like rent the same kind of equipment just to do the regular harnesses and shit for people like I think the Undertaker did some stuff, but I'm sure in that it was the War Raptor. I know Shawn Michaels did, and other wrestlers to do things like come from the Raptors with those harnesses, not the same quick release, lever on it or whatever, but just regular harnesses. So he had his people that normally would install these harnesses up there that were regular, installing the quick release harness that Owen Hart was wearing, which is probably why, and pretty much the main reason why Vince just agreed to pay that $18 million and then got it out of court. For one, he didn't want to look bad. He ended up looking bad anyways, but at the same time, he went against the advice given by the company and everything else, if I remember correctly, that he got the quick release harness from, because they said to have some of the experience with these harnesses, these specific harnesses, actually install the one that Owen Hart was going to be wearing. And because the person that installed it had no experience whatsoever in the quick release part of the whole harness. Regular harnesses, I do believe they had some. But this harness with the switch and all that, no. So basically, you had a newbie running a very, well, basically, you put Owen Hart's life in somebody else's hands, and I guess you pay the price of $18 million. It is what it is. I didn't want you to believe. Like I said, he tells a lot of bullshit, but as you can see, he's smart enough to carry around all these pieces of paper with all the impertinent details and shit that he needs to have to make somebody believe what he's saying. It's not like when you're witness testimony kind of things, because the whole point behind that is they're supposed to be able to testify what they remember. He's not remembering it. He's just basically using a script. All right. Let me get back on that. And trust me, this all involves what we're talking about and what's going on. So, yeah. Shift. I guess I close it. Whatever. Right. Let me see if it's actually on or off, whatever. And like I said, before we go directly to the case, back to the case itself and whatnot, he is just a claimed witness and stuff. But as I said before, he has no credibility whatsoever, so we really can't trust what he's saying in the first place. The actual known witnesses in this actual crime, which, like I said, I can't remember her name. She was a sex worker or whatever that knew Dan Harmon and the Clintons, or at least the brother of Clinton, if you get my drift. And she placed all these specific people there that night. He seems to have taken her story and kind of adapted it just a bit for his own, I guess, reasons. All right. So, yeah, we'll get back to his ranting about his personal theories on things. And then I'll have one more video concerning him, but that one's only like 2 minutes long, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Did it open up like it's supposed to or no? There we go. Okay.
Back, Davy Boy Smith, who I broke into business with in Calgary in the dungeon, before he died, told me, was his own two lips told me that you whacked him out, you murdered him. And all of a sudden he comes up dead. Of course he was on steroids, all kinds of drugs, and died at 39. But you know what? What's kind of funny, nobody wanted him. WCW didn't want him. Nobody wanted this kid because he was on all these drugs. And you took him back 4 times, buddy. 4 times. And I read ESPN, the magazine. Sean Assell wrote it. It's called Overkill. I read it. You let him back 4 times. 5 times. 5 times you let him back in the WWF. After Owen died, not only did you let him back in, without even a physical, you signed him to a $450 a year contract, $450,000 a year contract for 4 years. 4 years, it's almost $2 million for a man that nobody wanted. That proves to me that he was involved in Owen Hart's death. With all the heat, Owen Hart.
If that's the only evidence you need that he somehow Vince was involved in Roman's death, well then, oh man, what the fuck was WCW hiding? Holy shit, because they were paying millions for fucking losers back then. So yeah, holy shit, wow. Just
Davey Boy had, and the Hart family and Davey Boy had at the time of death. I 100% believe that, Vince. That's all I watch too. Can you dig it, man? Here's something. Miss Elizabeth. She became a drug addict on your watch. She couldn't take the road. It was killing everybody. It was. Dead. Overdose. Man, there was so many drugs in her system. I mean, yeah, I don't want to get into the part with Luger, because something happened to Luger. I guess it's what goes around comes around. I don't know. But if it didn't, I'd get into it with Luger right now. But it's not. There's no need for it. It's taken. The man upstairs came down. It's like he's going to come down on you, Vince. This beautiful woman. Shoot it right here if you could. You see how beautiful she is?
somebody has
2 years later. Okay. After you let her go and she was still in the attic, WCW. I mean, come on, man. This isn't coincidence. Is this coincidence, people? Come on. No one's ever confronted you, Vince, like this. What are you going to do? Whack me? Bring it on, man.
It's ironic.
I ain't scared of you, buddy. Not at all. Bring it on. Okay. Kurt Hennig. Mr. Perfect, you created him. Another Robbinsdale High School, Minnesotan. You created him. You're the one that had him come down to 92 and is your bullshit thing with me. Like I said last time, I'm not going to bring up the big rib. What happened? He overdosed. You let him go a couple months before because of a plane incident with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Ric Flair.
Brock Lesnar. Yes, that's it. Sean Stasiak.
Yeah.
Stan Stasiak's son who tried to record you. That was the only smart one down there. Really, I really knew what he was doing. He was trying to record you, get you on tape and expose you. But you caught him, I guess. Damn it. Dead. Mr. Perfect. He only had like 5 kids, I think, 4 kids.
FYI, in case you didn't know, I do believe either Sean Stasiak, the one he just mentioned, and or his own partner that he entered the business in were both, I can't remember if it's both or not, but I think they're both suspicious deaths as well. They're no longer alive, I think. Stasiak might be, but I'm not sure. But I know his partner, what's his name? He killed himself in a beauty parlor that he owned or some shit. I think he hung himself in the thing. There's a lot of fucking weird deaths when it comes to this shit. A lot of weird deaths. And I'm not talking about the boys on the tracks. I'm talking about the Clintons, and I'm talking about, I guess, Vince McMahon. Or just professional wrestling.
All kinds of relatives. They make you happy. Another one did. You take your responsibility for that? Well, if you don't, well, how about Road Warrior Hawk?
You see Road Warrior Hawk there? You wanted to make fun of this guy, didn't you? This guy really could have whacked your ass. I gotta read this just for a second. You made fun of the angle. It says, during the Attitude Era in which the WWF moved towards a more adult product, the Legion of Doom was placed into a storyline incorporating Hagstrom's, the Hawks, real-life drug addiction and alcoholism against the wishes of both Hank Strand and Lauren Ives. That's Road Warrior Animal. The Road Warriors, the best tag team in the history of wrestling in the 80s. Probably of all time. They didn't want this. But you went ahead and did it anyway. Made fun of a drug addict that you're creating. And then he finally died a few months later into controversy. You gonna admit that one, Vince? Or is that not on you? Even though you created the fucking angle. That's not on you?
This wasn't the first time, by the way, that Vince McMahon used somebody's real-life addiction or whatever as story in his show. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, Razor Ramon also his name Scott something or other, Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon. He had a severe drinking problem and drug addiction problem and all that, but I do believe that was WCW, but there were other wrestlers and stuff with the same kind of issues.
You down right? This guy probably don't mean much to you. You know Mike Lockwood, Crash Holly? But I met him before. Young kid, good kid, hard-working kid. He died. But you let him go just a little bit before, remember, Vince? You got hooked on drugs so hard, and the road, and somewhere down the road a couple months later, he ODs and dies. And this one's really going to hurt. This one's going to hurt because this is my WrestleMania 3 buddy, Hercules Hernandez. Rick Fernandez, who bought when I was married, my wife Selena's home in Tampa, Florida, and from what I understand, died in the home. It always states died at a heart attack because you don't want to say it's anything but a heart attack. You always tell the truth away. But the truth really is that it was from drugs. I know because we did drugs all the time together. We were injured all the time, on the road, traveling in the air, Xanax to sleep, Vicodin, morphine, you name it, we did. Dad had about 8 kids, I believe, Herc had. But he's dead. You let him go because he was near death. There he went. You feel bad about that one yet? You know? I can hear you, man. Yeah, I hear you. How about Big Boss Man? Remember him? Big Boss Man? Let's see what happened here. Released from WWE in 2003 after 5 years. And he dies 4 months later. What's you releasing for, you fuck? You drugged him out too, didn't you? Like everybody else. He had a beautiful family. Yeah, I'm speaking for everybody that's 6 feet under the grave. Just like you should be 6 feet under that goddamn Hollywood Walk of Fame. Should be shamed. Bullshit they gave that to you, Vince. You need to be under that motherfucker. Now let's get into Eddie Guerrero. I met Eddie in 1994 back in Portland. Him and Art Barr, the Love Machine. Art Barr, he passed away of a drug overdose too. Now that didn't have nothing to do with you, that one. Well,
The driving behavior of a vehicle prompts an officer to activate his lights for a traffic stop, but the driver doesn't pull over. A second officer follows closer behind.
Where'd it go? Alright. Go back.
Well, I went at first because he's a little bit out there. Always has been. When I first heard the guy's Billy, right? And I went back and I started looking at the case.
There's one other little bit of video from the news and stuff. I feel everybody should see in regards to what that man has to say. I don't know if this gives him credibility or.
A former WWE star was in court and has been arraigned in the shooting death of his 85-year-old wife.
Foxtrot's Drew Marine. William Billy Jack Haynes' arraignment, and she joins us now live. Drew?
He's facing unlawful use of a weapon and murder charges today after the alleged shooting led to an hours-long standoff with Portland police earlier this month.
Next matter is going to be page 22, line 3, Mr. Haynes.
Former wrestling star William Billy Jack Haynes appeared in court for the first time Thursday after being accused of shooting and killing his 85-year-old wife, Jeanette BeCraft, who neighbors say was struggling with dementia. On February 8th, Portland police responded to a shooting at a home in the Lentz neighborhood. They say Haynes was arrested after an hours-long standoff, and then they found a woman, now identified as BeCraft, dead inside. Now 70-year-old Haynes used to star in the old Portland wrestling promotion that aired on KPTV and went on to wrestle in what's now known as WWE in the 80s. He and BeCraft were known by neighbors as Billy and Jan, and neighbors we spoke with the day of the shooting say they were shocked to hear the news.
A great community around here, a lot of veterans, and my dad's met as well, and so was Billy, and I did love Joe, and we loved Jan as well, so yeah. But yeah, it's, like I said, it's a tragedy.
Haynes' trial is set for April 11th. Downtown Portland, Drew Marine, Fox 12.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not sure what it basically says about the person and his credibility or whatever. But, his claim has always been that he was the enforcer sent down to Alexander, Arkansas, which is right next to me in the airport. And that he was there to murder people. Well, I guess. Well, I guess we can plainly see that he is capable of committing murder. So, at least that part of the story is true. And if you're wondering, I'm not entirely sure, but I do believe he either took a deal or he wasn't even convicted of his wife's murder. So, yeah, that was, I think, a year or two ago. I'm just trying to find out real quick. Yeah, this was a year ago that he was on the murder trial. Let me check real quick. Like Jack Haynes was arrested, or Billy Jack Haynes was arrested in February 2024 for the murder of his wife, Jeanette BeCraft, and was initially charged with second-degree murder and unlawful use of a weapon. After being found mentally unfit to proceed with the trial, well, there you go. I mean, once again, I'm not sure what that says, but apparently they found him unfit to stand trial for his wife's murder. And at least the last interview, or the one where he looked oldest on Hannibal, was probably like a year or two before that. So, I'll leave that as judgment and what you think that. But it always seems like, to me, at least based on the facts, his story has changed over the years since he first came out saying he that night. Okay. So, yeah, and often it's always said that you can always tell a liar pretty easily because their story starts to change depending on the details or information that's known to them, how it differs from their original story. So they'll lie, change the story to make it more adapt. There's another case that we're always studying and stuff, and that person's story also changed, or so the law enforcement claim. We don't actually know his story changed or not. So yeah. But at least we do know that, He is capable of murder. Did they just let him free or what? I wonder. Oh, okay. He status hearing in May 2025 determined he was not mentally fit to stand trial, and this trial was slated. I'm not entirely sure if they're just gonna probably lock him away in the loony bin or something. Yeah, they're gonna keep bringing it up like every couple of years or so, if I remember correctly, in regards to mentally unfit people. They don't just let them go; they hold on to them for a long ass period of time. And I think it's like every 2 years or so they'll bring him back up and have him be checked again by psychiatrists or psychologists. And depending on what the psychologist says, they'll probably just put him back in there for another 2 years and make him, and then, basically, well, if Vince McMahon did all these horrible things, well, I guess he killed Billy Jack's wife too, because he was talking too much. That's how I feel like Haynes would say if he were here right now. He's probably blamed Vince for killing his wife too. But yeah, he's full of shit. He always been full of shit. His story doesn't check out with the actual witnesses we can prove that were actually there that night. Because his story, his credibility, and everything else was compared to the rest of the people, the ones we actually do know were there. Like I said, the sex worker, etc., etc., etc. And upon going through all those people, you start to see, how do I put this? Consistency in each of their stories, even though slight differences or whatever. The people there, this, that, and the other, mostly pretty much match up. But the problem is, the one that's so way up it's not even funny was Billy Jack Haynes. He had the right number of people, but like I said, these were well-known details that was out well before he came out talking about it. Well before him. And as you saw himself, he tends to carry around this massive freaking file of paperwork and details to make sure his story checks out with as much as possible. That way you can't come out on the bullshit. I wonder if anybody's even watching this shit, to be honest with you. Hello. Anybody out there? Out there. Honestly, I'm trying to plan this a little bit better than everything else. People are very demanding. They want to watch stuff and come on, guys. Just kidding. But no. Like I said, the one with the worst story, the evolving story, and the one that's changed the story so much out of all the claimed witnesses that were there that night that are still alive, mind you. Because as I said the last episode, I think it's a total of 11 out of the 15 witnesses or so that testified at the grand jury. Which, if you're wondering what was said at the grand jury, well, so the fuck am I, and so is everybody else that knows about this case. But you'll never hear about what was said at the grand jury because Dan Harmon, the assistant district attorney for the county, had whatever the grand jury ruling and findings and themselves all put on lockdown. I think it's like indefinite or forever. I didn't even know you could do that, to be honest, until I read about this case. I'm like, wait, you can do that? How do you lock up some of these findings? And it turns out first you have to know the district attorney, which he's the assistant, so that works. Second of all, I guess you need help from the sheriff because, oddly enough, the sheriff was probably he was in on all this too. In fact, multiple witnesses said one guy put 2 pennies on the table, and he said based on who gets elected sheriff tonight, I'm as good as dead, and I'm only worth this much, and that was 2 cents. Sheriff Spain or Steen or whatever the hell his name was, the bad sheriff, he did proceed to win the election that night, and within 3 to 4 days, the guy with the 2 pennies, he was found murdered. And it's probably not even the worst part that the 11 out of 15 or whatever the number was, within 10 years, I think all those people, one disappeared, but there was a bloody clothes left where they were where they happened to be spotted last at. So it's very suspicious. That is the only one that's not dead. The rest either not natural causes, not freak car accidents, none of this weird shit. No, if I do remember correctly, the other 10 witnesses died of either suicide or homicide. And if I remember right, also, the suicides, well, they're basically impossible. I think one person stabbed herself in the back like 10 times or 50 times or some shit. Another one shot themselves in the back of the head with a pump action shotgun, which I don't know if you ever try to shoot yourself in the back of the head with a pump action shotgun. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's getting some Kurt Cobain inspiration to the back. I don't know. Like I said, seems like bullshit to me. A lot of bullshit. Because, well, I know most of y'all basically from Delphi, correct? Okay, could you imagine if what everybody would think if we only had like 15, but we probably have less than 15, or around 15, so the number's pretty close actually. Now imagine if 11 or 12 of those motherfuckers just died of suicide or homicide that were all unsolved forever. I mean, I don't know personally what I would think about this entire case. That case, I mean. But the whole conspiracy theory threads would have been going nuts on that shit. You know what I'm saying? Holy crap. I'm not saying that's what happened in Delphi, because no, that's not what happened. But in this case, that's exactly what happened. So I always hear that McClelland is corrupt. Well, technically, you can't prove it. So you're just throwing out theories and making excuses. I'm like, maybe he just did a better job than Baldwin and Rossi. Who knows? But the difference is, in this case here, the boys on the tracks, as I said before, not very long after doing up this crazy cover-up and all this other shit, Dan Harmon was disbarred from not only he was fired, disbarred, and made into a felon and took into prison multiple times after this. When cocaine stopped being the thing, he got onto meth instead. So yeah, isn't that great? So everything that you say Nick McClelland might be, well, Dan Harmon, yeah, it's the real deal, guys. I know how everybody thinks the Carroll County Sheriff's Department and SP and everything else is probably crooked as a motherfucker. Well, guess what? In this case here, Sheriff Steen and his people and all the other motherfuckers, yeah, they actually, well, just we can get more into it if you want, but basically they're all involved in this. Law enforcement was indeed crooked. The district attorneys were indeed crooked. 85% of the witnesses were found murdered, or, well, I guess self-killing is technically a murder, right? So, yeah, they're all murdered. And one minute. So there you go. We got Barry Seal, which if you haven't seen it yet, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like Flying High or some shit like that. Tom Cruise plays Barry Seal. It's very entertaining. But in reality, Barry Seal is a goofy looking, kind of chubby guy. So it is what it is. So yeah, we got professional wrestlers. We got a whole fuck ton of dead witnesses. We got the world's worst fucking incompetent, or whatever you may call it, medical examiner of all time. Oh yeah, of course we have the Clintons, because this isn't the important connection to all the different things that we're going to be talking about very soon. And this was just the beginning, because I feel like not enough people know about this case that should know about this case. Because, like I said, I hear during a lot of cases there's a lot of possible this, a lot of possible that, and all this other stuff. Well, they could be doing this, they could be doing that, da, da, da. well, how come this case here has been unsolved since 1987? 1987. And from what I talk to people that still live in Alexander, Arkansas and shit. And you know what they tell me? That entire county is just as crooked as it has always fucking been since the 80s and before that. Anybody that actually knows this case on a personal level, sadly, I do think I think it was Kevin Ives' mom or whatever, or Don Henry's mom or whatever. But she's one of the only people I could actually think of that has some sort of hope left in this case. Everybody else is long given up because it's not like every other case, guys. They're just looking for that one piece of evidence, like we always heard in the one case, or this, that, the other. We just need a suspect. Genetic genealogy, blah blah blah. No, guys. As far as I know, the evidence was always there. The suspects were always there. They had everything well ready for what they needed to do to prosecute in these two murders, and it will never happen. I'm not sure if or how you can appeal such a thing. In a minute after I'm gonna stop sharing the screen for a second because I want to look up exactly word for word what was done in the Boys on the Tracks case that locked down the findings of the grand jury, because that's probably the biggest part of that. What the fuck? Because I've never heard of this being done by any other attorney for any other case. It's just really weird. Wait, 1 second. Control S. All right, let's stop the sharing. But yeah, courts have a weird bunch of different Latin kind of weird bullshit ways they fucking explain things. Happened with the grand jury. All right. A grand jury in Saline County, Arkansas, reclassified the deaths of Kevin Ives and Don Henry as a possible homicide in 1988. You remember, because at first the medical examiner called it an overdose of fucking marijuana and blah, blah, blah. Well, in 88, the grand jury was able to change that and, turned it into a definite homicide. Probable homicide to definite homicide. This was a major turn of the case, which had initially been ruled an accident by the state medical examiner, Remy Malik. However, despite this ruling, no one was ever charged, and the grand jury was eventually shut down. Now, the grand jury's investigation. Initial finding challenged after the boys' parents challenged the initial ruling, which we just heard about. They said that the boys didn't overdose on marijuana and fall asleep on the tracks. New evidence was brought to the grand jury. An independent pathologist found that Henry had been stabbed and Ives had suffered a skull injury before being run over by the train. The autopsy also showed the levels of marijuana in the boys' systems were far lower than Remy Malik initially said. The grand jury decision, based on this new evidence, they reversed the original ruling and officially classified this as probable and definite homicide after the fact. All right. Aftermath of the grand jury stalled investigation. Despite the grand jury's determination, the local sheriff's office failed to conduct a proper homicide investigation. This was compounded by the accusations that evidence was mishandled and witnesses were intimidated. Yeah, intimidated. We'll get back with that. 1 second. Conviction of the prosecutor. The special prosecutor in this case, Assistant District Attorney Dan Harmon, was later convicted in 1997 on federal charges including drug trafficking, racketeering, and much more. Too many to even list. Yeah, we'll be here a while. And basically, to everybody, back was paying attention, this basically confirmed all the suspected thoughts of corruption and how the original investigation was bullshit. And decades later, the murders of Kevin Ives and Don Henry remain officially unsolved. The case is still shrouded in conspiracy theories, particularly surrounding a potential connection to local drug trafficking and or... Do I need to say it? No, I don't need to say it. Now, because I feel it's important, we're going to do a little rundown on the witnesses that testified to the grand jury and when and what has happened since they testified. It's interesting. Trust me. One of the big key factors in the whole grand jury was a bunch of testimony concerning a whole bunch of witnesses and stuff. I think there was like 15. I think it was like 15. I think. Yeah. All right. Basically, there was many potential witnesses that have been linked to the Boys on the Tracks murders, including Blackjack Haynes. The case is known for the suspicious deaths and disappearance of several key figures, casting a shadow all over the testimony. The list of witnesses and their fates is complex and has fueled decades of controversy and conspiracy theories. This is indeed what happened to the witnesses who died or disappeared. You ready? Okay. Several individuals connected to the case died or disappeared in suspicious circumstances. I used to have my own list, and that's where the total of 11, I think it was, came from. But yeah, shortly after the investigation into the deaths of Don Henry and Kevin Ives was reopened, these are as follows. Keith McCaskill, a former friend of the boys, testified that he saw, I think, the police messing with or even beating up the boys. He was murdered. And he was actually an informant for prosecutor Dan Harmon, FYI. And he was murdered the next year, a few months later, I think it was in '88. Keith Coney, I think it was something. He was scheduled to testify before the grand jury. So there was one car accident. He died in a motorcycle accident, but the second I said it, I remembered everything about that. It wasn't your normal motorcycle accident, guys. So Google's covering up for the bad guys, apparently. Yeah, there was a lot of witnesses to this accident. He was being chased by the local police, sheriff's department at the time that this accident occurred. If you catch my drift. And this is a known fact as well. Greg Collins, a friend of Coney's who died being chased by the cops on his motorcycle. Same cops that everybody thinks or says they know that are crooked. He was also called to testify to the grand jury. He was killed by multiple shotgun blasts in January 1989. So right now, we haven't made a year and a half yet. And I think we're at like 3 or 4. Okay. Daniel Booney Bearden, subpoenaed to testify before the same grand jury. Bearden disappeared and was never seen again, but some bloody clothing was found where he was last seen at in March 1989. Jeffrey Edward Rhodes, a witness linked to the case. His body was found in a landfill in April 1989. Once again, he was murdered. If I remember right, this was like construction landfill and shit. And one of the construction people found him. And yeah, I don't want to get into details on that one because it's pretty fucked up. And if I tell you that they're dead, except for the one guy that's missing, you can even remove the motorcycle guy if you want. But yeah, there's like 30 witnesses that swear he was being chased down by the same county sheriffs. Let's see, and there's many more than that. That's why I don't like this list because it's missing a bunch of people. Blackjack Haynes in 2018, the former professional wrestler claimed he witnessed blah blah blah, and we all know because we just heard what happened to Blackjack Haynes. Maybe a coincidence, who fucking knows? But he's trying to be charged with second-degree murder, I think, for the death of his 85-year-old wife. So yeah. A 12-year-old boy, this unnamed witness allegedly saw a group of people, including prosecutor Dan Harmon, on the tracks. Unnamed federal inmate, a 1995 letter from a federal prisoner provided an account implicating law enforcement officers Kirk Lane and Jay Campbell. Well, as I said, the sex worker provided a list of 8 people, including yourself, I think, that were there that night. She does not make any claim whatsoever that Blackjack Haynes was there. So that's one. Dan Harmon, yes, was there. The 2 officers you hear that I just mentioned, everybody says basically that claims they were there that night. They all say those 2 that were there. So that's an anonymous lander from a federal prisoner. So it is what it is. But that's Charlene Wilson, who was the sex worker there that night, testimony indicated that much of her account was corroborated. She could prove the things she was saying was indeed true. So think about that. Basically, most, if not damn near all, of Charlene Wilson's testimony was proven. And I'm not just talking about the corruption shit involving the cops and all this other crap. No, I'm talking about that night. Everything she said, because she claims she was there. Personally, I'm going to play you a little interview with her too. I doubt anybody's even paying attention to talk or anything, but yeah. You come to your own judgment or whatever, but I believe what the hell she says. Railroad workers, train crew reported seeing the boys on the tracks covered with a tarp. A detailed police later disputed. Because don't wrap up living people in tarp, I guess. The controversy around witnesses. The suspicious deaths among potential witnesses have fueled theories of an orchestrated cover-up connected to a large-scale drug trafficking operation. The involvement of prosecutor Dan Harmon, who was later convicted on drug and racketeering charges, added weight to these theories. Linda Ives, Kevin Ives' mother, continues to advocate for justice and investigates the case. I used to have a badass video about all the damn witnesses. It makes me sad. All right. This is a little bit better of a list. Not much better, though. Because, Keith McCaskill, it's got it on there. Keith Coney has on there. Greg Collins. They add on Jeffrey Edward, whose body was found. Oh, no, that's the Lampo guy. Where's the rest of these things? Okay, because you got to understand. They only keep talking. If you notice the dates of these people who died, the first 5 witnesses died or disappeared. This is only between 1988, the following year after the murders, to 1990. So we're talking about 2 years. In a 2-year span, at least 5. One goes missing. The other murder, weird fucking police chasey thingy, murder. Yeah, we got 3 unsolved murders, a weird fucking police chase that killed the guy on the motorcycle, and a missing person. So yeah. What was that? I'm trying to remember where I got the rest of this from. Shit. Right, and we'll do that. So I'm not sure total how many people testified in that grand jury, but so far, like I said, I'm looking, but I can only find the first spot. Keith McCaskill, yes, as I said, he was an informant for Dan Harmon. He was, I do believe, the one who put the 2 pennies down or whatever concerning whoever wins this election, makes my life worthless, blah, blah, blah. All right. We have another person added on, the possible witness to the original murders. James Malam was found decapitated in his home. Arkansas medical examiner Family Malik controversially wrote that, I forgot to add that last time. Remember the guy that they claimed the dog had eaten his head off? Apparently that guy, too, was a possible witness to the original murders. Possible. I'm not going to say it's true or whatever. I'm trying to find, I think it was like something. But yeah, I think it's from the years of 1988 to 1997 or 99, something like that, or 2000, we just say. In that span of time, I was able to find 11 people that testified or were supposed to testify that were fucking dead. And murder, crazy suicides, all kinds of shit. But I used to have a really informative episode about this on my channel that no longer exists anymore. I need to go through all my hard drives and see if I can't find more information and covering it. But I wish I could tell you more about Dan Harmon, because he seems to be the central figure that everybody seems to talk about in this case. Other than, and that's the people that steer away from the Clintons. You know, if you want to steer away from the Clintons, yeah, you're going to blame Dan Harmon. And I guess the Colombians and blah, blah, blah. But, all right. The famous TV writer and former Arkansas prosecutor involved in the Blues and the Tracks case. Apparently, Dan Harmon was a TV show or some shit. Is what Google. I didn't even know that, so that's information. But after his release from his initial racketeering and other charges, he was released in 2006. He continued to face multiple legal troubles, including being charged in December 2023 with kidnapping and murder of his ex-girlfriend, Jamila Smith, and later was charged with drug trafficking. I do not believe, I'm not sure if he was ever, yes, he was charged for murder and shit, but I don't think he was convicted for that. Dan Harmon was prosecuted in 87 Boys on the Tracks case involving the deaths of teenage blah, blah, blah. Okay. Conviction in 97, he was convicted of racketeering, extortion, racketeering, extortion, drug conspiracy, money laundering, and once again, it just says other charges, and was sentenced to 8 years in prison. He was released in 2006 after cooperating in a murder conspiracy case. In 2023, Harmon was arrested for the kidnapping and murder of his ex-girlfriend, Jamila Smith. He was subsequently charged with drug trafficking after drugs were found in his vehicle. Oh, okay, so he's not a TV writer. He's just somehow... I didn't know that. Apparently the guy that writes the Community TV show and Rick and Morty is also named Dan Harmon. But that's not him. So, okay. Yeah. That's good to know. Okay. He's not famous. Yeah. The official associated with the crimes in the former Arkansas who was convicted of racketeering. Yeah, basically that's what they want to talk about. All right, here's some actual good news for once. I wanted to figure out what exactly happened involving Dan Harmon since then, and I think I finally got an answer. And that would be September 22nd, 2023. Dan Harmon dies at age 78. And apparently there's a lot of comments in the thing going, as a community fan, this scared the shit out of me. Because I don't think anybody... Ooh, he did not age well. Wow. Looked like Santa Claus. Took too much meth. Dan Harmon Jr., a former prosecuting attorney in Saline County, died on Friday, September 22nd, 2023, at the age of 78. Reports say he battled with throat cancer and passed away in hospice at Virginia VA Hospital, my bad, in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was still a resident of Saline County. And that kind of shows you also something that the people that want people to stay shut the fuck up about this, stay the fuck in that county to make sure exactly that had been done. Harmon had a checkered past, having been the prosecutor in that case. He had a federal racketeering conviction, and in 2010 was arrested on drug charges. I'm actually trying to remember the whole. I forgot he was ever charged with murder, though. But I don't think. Yeah, he was definitely not convicted. Harmon murder. Well, let's find out. Daniel Harmon charged with missing ex-girlfriend Mo Smith. Blah blah blah. What? What the fuck? Yeah, hang on a second. He's seeing two conflicting different stories about the way the dude died. So I'm guessing somebody's got the different Dan Harmon and somebody's just being stupid. So let me confirm that and then I'll say something. Oh, okay. That was definitely a different Dan Harmon who was murdered in West Virginia or Virginia. So definitely nothing we're talking about. Yeah, very well did that. Because I was kind of shocked. I was wondering how the hell Dan Harmon was somehow murdered when the other side just told me he died of natural causes, I guess. Throat cancer or some shit. All right, man charged with killing a missing ex who called cops and said he broke into her home and chased her down the road. Both have a history of domestic violence incidents. The sheriff's office stated of missing Jamila Smith and Daniel Harmon, who's charged with her murder. I'm thinking before he could have trial or something like that, he probably died of natural causes, thus they could no longer try to convict him for the crime. Dan Harmon of Beach Island was charged on Saturday with murdering Jamila Smith, according to Aiken County Detention Center records. He had previously been arrested on charges of second-degree domestic violence, kidnapping, racketeering, extortion, a bunch of shit, okay? On December 4th, the Aiken County Sheriff's Office put out a public call for help tracking down Jamila Smith, who, oh shit, I was wondering, I'm like, was he banging her when she was 30 and he was like 78? No, apparently when she went missing, she was 30 and he was 34. That's interesting. I'm trying to remember how old Dan Harmon was around the same time. That would have been kind of near. Family members reported last hearing from Smith and her ex Harmon on December 2nd at around 7 p.m. According to, this is the same person. It can't be. Okay, so that's a different Dan Harmon. God, this is annoying. Ignore everything I said about that person. And what made it worse is actually, I do believe he might have at some point or been from Arkansas too, so who knows. But somehow Google AI clusterfucked multiple Dan Harmons into themselves. That's kind of weird. Arkansas. Oh, and we know he is dead, obviously, because that was true. It had his picture and shit attached to it. But yeah, Dan Harmon's now dead. He served a lot of fucking. Sheriff of Saline County. During poison attacks. Well, in 1987. How about that? All right. Georgia F. Henley was the sheriff of Saline County, and I'm wondering if that is Arkansas. Just making sure. Okay, see, yeah, ignore what I said. Some people think of better names for their counties if they're all naming the same shit. One second. What's this display? I think it's like the guy's name is Steen, I think, or Stein. Huh. Apparently, that was not the only unsolved murders that year. Also, apparently there was a lady by the name of Sandra Lynn Williams. That case is still open and unsolved. She was 21 years old and was last seen leaving a store in the community of East End on February 17th, 1987. Her remains were discovered on March 14th, 1987. The case is still considered a cold case. The investigative body case is now known part of the Arkansas State Police's Cold Case Unit, which is dedicated to solving older cases. And I'm just going to remind you real quick. She went missing February 17th in 87, and August 23rd, 87 is when the two boys were murdered. I don't know. It just seems odd. Where's it? Like, Yeah, apparently there's 3 murders that occurred that year that are still all unsolved. And it's those 3: Don Henry, Kevin Ives, and I do believe the third one is her. And honestly, if you got all these people running around killing people and shit back in 87, wait, what? The fuck? Hold up. Let me make sure this is Arkansas because it looks stupid if I don't get it right. Was that 87 too? Whoa. What the fuck? What year was this? This was 2024? Huh, interesting. Well, it is the right place, Saline County, Arkansas. But it was February 12th, 2024. I guess the Sheriff's Department released a statement with more details about a multiple homicide incident on February 10th, 2024 at approximately 4 p.m. Structure fire on Pryor Drive. First responders arrived and found a deceased individual with apparent gunshot wound. They haven't been named, I guess, but a juvenile person of interest was questioned on the day of the incident and was later charged with the deaths of 3 people. He is currently being held without bond. He's age 15, but he is being charged as an adult. Capital murder, arson, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with physical evidence. The deceased individuals are Jacob Martin, age 47, Dara Martin, age 53, and Aaliyah Martin, age 16. No idea what any of that involves this case, but it popped up on the screen and I thought it sounded weird, so deal with it. All right. Look, I don't need to know all the bullshit that's running around now. Just tell me the There we go. Wait, what? That can't be right. Interesting. Hmm. No. There we go. The sheriff of Saline County, Arkansas, in 1987 was James H. Steed, S-T-E-E-D, Jr. He was the county sheriff during the investigation into the deaths of Don Henry and Kevin Ives. So let's find figure out what happened to Mr. Steed. Ah, interesting. It's always like, oh, everybody keeps dying with this shit. What was it? They sent Harmon back to prison, or no, Harmon went to prison in 97. James Henderson Steed Jr., 1945 to 1996, Arkansas. So he died at 50 years old. That's what happened to the sheriff. Interestingly enough. I didn't even know that. Because you start to wonder when people start noticing and figuring out things about this case, people start looking into it, but by then they can't really do anything about it because all the key players are either dead or ain't talking. Birth February 2nd, 1945, Lawton, Comanche County, Oklahoma. Death September 29th. Okay, so it was 51. September 1996 in Benton, Saline County, Arkansas. So he lived and died in Saline County. There you go. He is buried in Saline County, Arkansas. I just find it weird that all these crazy ass people were talked about, mentioned, and all that, they're really mixed up and all this other crap. But you don't ever hear much about. I mean, Dan Harmon, we hear plenty about because his crimes. But then to do all this involving grand jury and all this other shit, there's no way Harmon could have done this himself. And next, I'm going to look up. I forgot her name, but the sex worker or whatever that testified what she saw that night and stuff. I'm going to tell you what happened to her, which is really fucked up when y'all hear about it if you don't already know. Basically, she got a really dumb charge, and somehow, like O.J. Simpson on his little thing at the hotel that one night, because everybody, honestly, including the judge in the second trial that wasn't even involving the murders of Nicole Simpson and Ronald Goldman, basically threw the book at O.J. Simpson to make sure that he was in jail or prison as long as they possibly could keep him. Is at least how I feel that second trial of his went, which I'm fine with. But I guess there's a little bit more information concerning Linda Ives and James Steed. Steed was sheriff of Saline County for 11 years. Okay. Saline County Sheriff James Steed never even pretended to be interested in leading a forthright investigation of the murders of Kevin Ives and Don Henry. He, in fact, had a conversation with medical examiner Fahmy Malik about an acceptable cause of death concerning, as we know it, marijuana overdose and fell asleep on the tracks, got hit by a train. So, yeah. Malik offered to rule the cause of death as suicide, but Steed told Malik that the families would never accept suicide and suggested that Malik rule the deaths accidental, which at first he indeed did, as it is well known. There are many stories about Malik asking the law enforcement agencies what they would like his ruling to be, and he accommodated their request. The below letter written by Linda Ives expresses her dissatisfaction with Steed and was the beginning of her 33 years so far of fighting law enforcement corruption. Steed had been sheriff for 11 of those years and was confident of his status. But apparently he underestimated Linda Ives. She went to war and he lost his next bid for re-election. Hey, look at that. Linda tells an encounter with Steed when she went to his office and was told to wait in the reception area. Steve's door was open and Linda could hear him talking on the phone. She waited as the personal chit-chat continued for 10 minutes. She grew irritated and then got up and walked to his desk. He gave her a shocked look and said in a hateful tone, "I'm on the phone." She pushed down the receiver button and said, "Not anymore, you're not." She jumped straight into her first involvement with any kind of political campaign, and Steed lost by a landslide. Apparently, she was the main sole reason that this dude lost. I guess he pissed her off, and she said, "Well, I'm gonna fuck his shit up, though." I'm not exactly sure what she did, but this was an open letter to Sheriff Steed. Sheriff Steed, you have stated that you are satisfied with the investigation your department has conducted in the death of my son Kevin Ives and his friend Don Henry. You have also insinuated that our dissatisfaction with the investigation stems from personal tragedy that we have suffered. I would like to point out to you, as well as the public, some of the reasons we are dissatisfied. It is a fact that the area was never roped off as a protected crime scene. That is true. As I said in the last episode, they were picking pieces of these boys up days and maybe even weeks later. The area could not possibly have been searched thoroughly for evidence of a crime. After the investigation of the scene was completed, family and friends went to the area and found Kevin's foot, the gun stock, and other parts of the boy's rifle that they had been carrying that night. In other words, important evidence. Because, as I said before, it is commonly believed that the one boy's head had been crushed by his own rifle. So basically, they're taking the actual probably murder weapon to the police themselves, and the cops are just like, "Oh, I don't care." The gun stock and other parts that Don Henry had, and other personal belongings of the boys. I consider this clear evidence of how well the area was searched. Well, can't disagree with her on that one, or the other one. We were informed about reports that 2 people had heard gunshots shortly before the accident. And I quote, accident is in parentheses or whatever. Saline County Sheriff's Office assured us that tests would be done on the gun Don carried, but tests were in fact never done. I'm guessing that means ballistics and or probably DNA for the gun stock as well. So, 4, we were assured from the very beginning that the Sheriff's Office would request assistance from state police. Colonel Godwin informed me that I see the name myself. Informed me that the request was never received by his office at the state police. I'm guessing whoever this Colonel Godwin was, back then he ran the fucking state police in Arkansas. And they never submitted a request from Saline County, maybe ever. It is in fact that there is no state police report of any kind filed on this, once again, in parentheses, accident. I'm starting to think that anything with the parentheses in this is just like sarcasm. 3 train crew members reported a green tarp partially covering the boys as they lay on the tracks. One of the crew saw where it landed and shined a light on it and informed Saline County Sheriffs where it was. They assured us they would personally interview the train crew rather than relying on railroad investigators' reports. That never happened either. They never interviewed the train workers, and they claimed that the green tarp was an optical illusion that never existed. Yeah. There was information given to the sheriff's office that could have developed into a possible lead, but the informant was never contacted. I do believe that involves the the prison letter that claimed the two deputies were involved. And I do believe that Charlene Wilson's own story kind of, well, we'll see in a minute. So, Don's stepmother found a partial bag of marijuana in Don's jeans pockets. Not the cops, not Family Malik, none of these motherfuckers. Don's stepmom found this little tiny bag of weed in Don's jeans pocket 6 months after the deaths, when his personal effects were returned to her. So in all that time, the cops never found a bag of weed in the kid's pocket. What is that? I don't even know if anybody's here, dude. I mean, maybe trolls, maybe people just watching and sleeping. I don't fucking know. But yeah, the cops didn't even find a bag of marijuana. They claimed the tarp never existed. And the assistant district attorney was later arrested for all kinds of fucked up things. The sheriff was up to his ears in bullshit and corruption. Huh. The back of the train was used as a reference point for gathering evidence. So when the train pulled away, they lost the reference point forever. So these are just a few things regarding the sheriff's office's investigation that we are unhappy over. Some things we know about, I shudder to think about, and this is all written by Linda Ives, Kevin Ives' mother, in regards to the Saline County Sheriff's Office. And at this point, she doesn't even know yet about Dan Harmon and the shit that's about to go down with him. So, awkward. And last of all, Sheriff Steed, you have no first-hand knowledge of this investigation that you are so proud of. You did not even bother to go down to the scene, nor have you ever contacted us personally regarding the deaths of our sons. Love, Linda Ives. I kind of expected the love part to be like in parentheses as a way to. Basically, this dude was 11. He was sheriff of this county for 11 years when this insane, whatever the hell you want to call it, cover up, murder. I don't fucking know. As I keep saying, it's everything that everybody wants Delphi to be, but it's real. I don't know if the other, Delphi shit's real. I don't know at all. I mean, but these are all facts that have evidence and shit, and like proven. And like I said, imagine how Delphi would go nuts if like 80% of the witnesses just killed themselves, died of murder, right? It'd be like, what? It'd be utter insanity. But yeah, I think in the 12 years following the murders of the boys on the tracks, anybody that hasn't heard me say it the extra 7 or 8 times I've said it in the last 2 episodes involving it. 11 out of 13 or 11 out of 15 of the initial witnesses that were supposed to or did indeed testify. One went missing. The majority of the rest either killed themselves in very suspicious ways or they were murdered and murders were never solved. And then we did have one motorcycle accident of a witness that was being chased by the Saline County Sheriff's Office. Yeah. Take that information with as you will. I don't know why they were chasing him. Yeah. I gotta really figure out why, how come certain parts of the United States, when somebody gets really weirdly murdered there or whatever, it like blows up massively across the nation, right? But then you have these crazy ones in small areas or whatever the hell you want to call them, and then people just never hear about them for the longest time. But apparently, he offended Linda and made her wait while he was talking and bullshitting on the phone. So she came in there and hung up his phone and said, "Basically, it's on, motherfucker," and he was never re-elected after that because she beat his ass, basically. He died at the age of 51, as I said before. Dan Harmon himself is also dead. You would think by now something would have came out knowing these motherfuckers are both dead. The fact that nothing still has, wonder what happened to. Well, let's find out. The initial main witness to all of this, that seemed to know most, if not all, of everything. Let's see what happened to her. It's Charlene Wilson. There we go. And okay, once Charlene started talking a little bit too much about the Clintons and all kinds of other stuff and what happened that night, she was sent to prison for a weird, fucking, pretty petty felony charge, and was hit nasty. Like if you thought OJ was fucked over for his second trial, then this lady got the boot because the maximum she could literally get was like supposedly, I think it was 15 to 20 plus years. For hold on, I have it in front of me right now. I'm gonna actually see what the charge is and what you got for it. Charlene Wilson, and between November and December of 1992, this would have been 5 years after the murders, Charlene Wilson, a drug dealer, shared a home with her boyfriend, Bryson Jacobs. During this period of time, an informant working for the Arkansas State Police purchased marijuana and methamphetamine from her. Later in late November, the same informant contacted Wilson by telephone to arrange a marijuana deal at a local store. According to the informant's testimony, when Wilson showed up to conduct the deal, she waved a semi-automatic pistol in front of her face, threatening to kill her if she found out that she was working for the authorities. The informant then bought a bag of marijuana and left. The next day, acting on information from the informant, police officers applied for search warrants, which stated that Jacobs and Wilson had to be arrested. Affidavits detailed the informant's drug deals and Jacobs' previous convictions of arson and firebombing. Well, interesting, I guess. In the afternoon, the search was conducted. When police officers approached the property, they had found the door to be unlocked. In the process of opening an unlocked screen door, the officers identified themselves and announced that they had a warrant. Coming inside the house, the officers confiscated marijuana, methamphetamine, Valium, drug paraphernalia, a weapon, and ammunition. When the officers were looking for Wilson and Jacobs, they had found her inside a bathroom attempting to destroy evidence by flushing marijuana down the toilet. Jacobs and Wilson were arrested and charged with delivery of marijuana, delivery of methamphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia, and a possession charge of marijuana. Now, I've seen, at least where I'm from, a lot of people getting much worse. I used to know a guy. Well, I guess I kind of still know him. He's still alive, so I know this guy named James Shimko. And one night, I don't know if he was high or whatever the fuck it was, but let's just say he still to this day holds the record on how many felonies I've seen someone commit in one night. And the total for just a matter of 8 hours of felonies that this dude got in Fort Myers, where I live, was, I think, 77. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a massive number, anything like that, but can you imagine somebody getting and mind you, none of these non-violent drug offense kind of bullshit ones either. I don't even remember if any of his felonies he got arrested for in that 8-hour period of the 77 even involved drugs at all. So I have to remember to look that up. This is what I remember hearing about that night. Him and a few of his Suncoast boys rolled into a golf course, stole all of the golf course's golf carts and forklifts, and proceeded to take them on a joyride through Suncoast, which is like the redneck ghetto of my county. Yeah. And they were using these forklifts to, and I basically a witness in this case, to mind you, and all I could do is laugh. So that's, yeah. Well, how do I put this? I get a call, and I'm up there doing some business somewhere else in Suncoast from my boy Luke. Now, prior, I had been in a little situation with Luke and James Shenko, oddly. Apparently, James didn't like Luke, and they basically attacked Luke. And mind you, they were his father was like this massive redneck gang leader of a local group called the Crooked R, I think it's called. Um, I'll probably tell you all about them someday too, because they're actually another group I had that involved. They're murderers too. Um, and during this thing at a Circle K or whatever, Luke got his ass whooped. I really couldn't do anything to help him though, because basically, there's basically it's like 20, 25 dudes out there, and no, I didn't walk away unscathed either. I got kicked in the face, so but I was fine. Yeah, for the 77 felonies he was convicted for that night. The total amount of time he spent in prison for those crimes was, I think, 7 years. Keep that in mind, guys. 77 felonies, 77 convictions. All right. During a 7 years. I know that sounds weird, but whatever. During a pretrial hearing, Wilson filed a motion to suppress against the evidence that was found during the search. She argued that the search was invalid because the officers did not knock on the door and didn't identify themselves before they entered. This action, according to her, justified excluding the evidence against her. The motion was subsequently denied. It wasn't I think it was basically a no-knock warrant, so they didn't have to. She was convicted of all charges. On a jury trial, she received a sentence of 32 years in prison. Now, I mean, like I said, if you don't know, that's probably the most I've ever seen somebody sent to prison for weak-ass charges that I've ever seen. Granted, there's a couple of felonies there, yes. But non-violent felonies that were just drug involved. I've never seen somebody get damn near over 30 fucking years. Her conviction was upheld by the Arkansas Supreme Court, and they reasoned that Miss Wilson submits the officers executing the search failed to knock, blah, blah, blah. We know that. As a sole authority for her argument. So that's her only explanation on why the case shouldn't be allowed, or the evidence. The appellant contends, however, Miller involved a statute which specified that a law enforcement officer executing a search warrant may break open a door only if, after noticing of his authority and purpose, he is denied admittance. So yes, the cops can't bust into your shit, but basically you got to tell them no first if they got a warrant. So once that happens, I guess it's okay then. There's no authority for Mrs. Wilson or Miss Wilson's theory that the not blah 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 is required by a Fourth Amendment. Furthermore, Arkansas, I don't know what the hell that is, outlines a procedure to be followed in the execution of a search warrant and provides in part the executing officer and other officers accompanying and assisting him may use such degree of force short of deadly force against persons or person or to effect entry or to open containers as is reasonably necessary for the successful execution of the search warrant with all practicable safety. Rule 13.3 does not contain a knock and announce rule. So, yeah, you ain't got to say shit. Opinion of the Supreme Court was 9-0. They affirmed the conviction of Wilson. All right, you can pass that bullshit. Come in the rest. If I remember correctly, and this has been a long time, mind you, Wilson basically had to do some odd shit to finally get out of prison because she was locked up in there for well over 15 years. And knowing how everybody else seems to have gone in this case, it will not surprise me if, yeah, she's probably dead too. All right, cool. There we go. November 6th, 1999. Governor Mike Huckabee on Friday commuted the sentence of Charlene Wilson, 45 years old, former girlfriend of ex-prosecutor Dan Harmon. Wilson's 31-year sentence for 2 counts of delivery of a controlled substance, which I don't even know if that's the maximum you can get, but that seems just way over what you should get for that. It was shortened to the time she already served. Wilson was arrested in Hot Spring County in 1982 while Harmon was prosecutor of the 7th Judicial District. Think about that, guys. Her ex-boyfriend, who she's telling everybody murdered these 2 boys, was the he was the 7th Judicial District prosecutor at the time. So basically, he had already been promoted and all this other shit. And he was the one that sent her to prison for 32 years. Just saying. And that was 92, and she was convicted. No, what's it, 99? I guess it was. She wasn't in there that long, huh? I always thought it was like 15 years, but I guess I was wrong. She was convicted in 93. In announcing the commutation, Huckabee said law enforcement officials of the district did not object. Well, yeah, duh. Harmon was convicted by a federal court jury in Little Rock in 1997 of 5. Great. Yeah. Dan Harmon, his charges of extortion and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we already know that. 93, yeah. Was one of, Wilson told Saline County Sheriff Judy Pridgeon, and this was in 93, mind you. This would have been, I guess, after Linda Ives got Steed kicked the fuck out. Harmon was one of several men involved in the death of 2 Saline County teenagers who were found dead on railroad tracks in the county 10 years ago. Yep, this would have been exactly that time. No one has been charged in those slayings. Wilson later recanted her statements. So, yeah. I'm not entirely sure of what to make in regards. I don't know. I kind of want to see when she recanted her statement compared to when she magically got released. You know what I mean? But it can't be that easy, right? Arkansas Parole Board frees Charlene Wilson. The state's parole board voted to release Wilson, who 8 years ago. All right. Charlene Wilson soon will be free. Wilson, who was the victim of Arkansas' corrupt criminal justice system, which existed during the tenure of Governor Bill Clinton, is about to be released from prison. In fact, it was that she saw the man who is now our president get so high on cocaine that he fell into a garbage can. Yeah, she's talking about Bill. Last Thursday, the state's parole board voted to release Wilson, who 8 years ago was arrested and prosecuted by her former boyfriend, Dan Harmon, on 2 counts of delivery of a controlled substance. I think you're only at most supposed to get like 2 years for both of those charges combined, but yeah. In 1993, Charlene was sentenced to 31 years on this relatively minor first time drug offense, people. First time. I guess she wasn't a sex worker either, so I'm an asshole. Sorry about that. Well, I'm not entirely sure anymore, which was extremely harsh when compared to the 11-year sentence Harmon later received for running his 7th Judicial District prosecuting attorney's office as a criminal enterprise. Now, think about that, y'all. Dan Harmon convictions in 97 for extortion, money laundering, racketeering, all of them. These are major felonies, right? And there was like, I think 7 of them. He was sentenced to 11 years. I don't think that was his first arrests either, FYI. I'm not sure involving drugs or whatever, but they just were not the actual first arrest he's ever had. and this was only 4 years difference. Her trial was 4 years before his. She was given 32 years on two first-time drug offense minor felonies. I don't know about y'all, but personally, I do not want to live in Arkansas ever. All right, State's Clemency Review Board had recommended Wilson to be freed 2 years earlier, but Governor Mike Huckabee, who had worked hard to clean up the state and was up for re-election, declined. However, in November, when Wilson's case came up again for review, Huckabee decided to reduce her sentence, making her eligible for parole after more than 2 years of public pressure. Shirlene, who once had been a man... Okay, so I was correct. She was a sex worker. Me. Charlene, who once had been a madam to the Arkansas drug mob, was attempting to turn her life around at the time of her arrest. She was working for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration and had also been given damaging information on Harmon to Gene Duffy, who in 1990 was appointed to head a task force to investigate narcotics trafficking in Central Arkansas. Now, I know until now you have not heard of this person, Gene Duffy, but depending on which documentaries you watch involving the Boys on the Tracks murders, I can't remember which organization she was with, but basically she was sent in there and she was gung-ho ready to fuck everybody up. She was like, I'm going to bring down, and she had it out for anybody and everybody that they thought was involved in these murders, or just involved in the whole drugs thing, anybody, And in a short order amount of time, everything, she was locked out of it, like everything. She wasn't allowed to obtain information. Basically, they just shut her down completely. And very quickly enough, she was reassigned to somewhere far, far away. And I'm pretty sure she's not the only one this happens to in this case either, because it's pretty, become a normal thing for people to just get shut the fuck up here. Wilson's release is another vindication for Doopy or whatever, who was the victim of a Dan Harmon smear campaign orchestrated against her when he realized that he was in danger of being exposed. After 8 months on the job, Doopy was fired in 1991. When Harmon was elevated from Saline County prosecutor to prosecutor over the 7th Judicial District. Doopy had to flee the state to avoid turning over her files and having more than 30 of her confidential witnesses exposed. Doopy has worked as hard to free Wilson, whom she called her best informant, as she did help put Harmon behind bars. Charlene says that Harmon promised her that if she ever crossed him, he would put her away where no one would ever find her. He almost succeeded. Shortly after Charlene gave her testimony to that grand jury in the Union S. District Court in Little Rock in December of 1990, Harmon persuaded Charlene's friend, Joanne Potts, to roll over on Charlene to avoid prosecution. Not entirely, yes, exactly. Joanne Potts was the informant that testified against her. Harmon staged a raid on Charlene's home where less than $100 worth of meth and weed were found. And she only bought a small bag of weed and I think a little bit of meth and a little bit of weed before that. I don't know, guys. I'll leave that up to you. Did those charges of, possession of less than $100 worth of meth and weed, I guess selling a little bit of weed, does that equal up 32 years in prison? I don't know. Yeah, I don't even need to answer that. Had it not been the film Obstruction of Justice about see, that's another one. Now that I got the title, I couldn't think of what his name was. Maybe the next episode we'll watch that, because I don't think anybody's here to even watch it this time. Uh, Obstruction of Justice is literally a cover-up documentary, a documentary of the cover-up of the '87 murders of Kevin Ives and Don Henry. It's believed that they had stumbled onto a drug drop at Amina, Arkansas. Charlene's case likely never would have became a cause. She was a material witness in that crime, and the film's producer, Pat Matriciana, found her and featured her interview from prison. Ironically, an Arkansas jury recently found Matriciana guilty of libel in connection with that film. The case is on appeal. Interesting. 8 years is a long time to be locked away from society and from those you love. On the outside, Charlene's children grew into adults. Her father died, and 3 years ago, her daughter gave birth to her first grandchild. On the inside, Charlene became a Christian. She has been a model prisoner. She leads Bible studies and conducts a letter writing ministry, which she named Glory Land. On Friday, when I conducted a telephone interview with Charlene from prison on my Los Angeles radio show, she did not know the decision of the parole board, but she was hopeful. She said that if she were to be released from prison, one of the first things she wanted to do was to hold her grandchild. She also wants some time to just sit by her father's grave. I need closure on that. I guess whoever this person was reminded her that she might be safer if she remains in prison, since most of the witnesses from that night are now dead, which is true. But I do believe that's why she probably recanted her earlier statement, basically that they had done it or whatever. I need that whole list, man. I knew it took me like a month to make that damn list. I had like 11, 12, almost 15 names on that shit. During because all it seems to keep giving me is the first 2 years worth, and that would be 87 or no, 88 and 89. But as I said, between the years of 88 to the years of 2000, that list is significantly higher from the six, and it turns into like almost 12 at least, I think. As I said, McCaskill was an informant for Dan Harmon. He had taken aerial photographs of the crime scene, and he was murdered in '88, unsolved. Keith Coney, he died in a motorcycle accident in January '89 while being chased by the Saline County Sheriff's Department. Yeah, you get what I'm saying, right? Greg Collins was killed by 3 shotgun blasts to his face on January 26, 1989. He had also been subpoenaed to testify before the grand jury and was an acquaintance of Keith Coney. I do believe that was one of the ones they wrote the suicide. I'm not entirely sure. I have heard weird stories many times in the past where someone was able to off themselves by shooting themselves in the head even twice. I've never heard of somebody surviving 3 shotgun blasts to the face, one at a time. Yeah. Daniel Boone, another witness who disappeared without a trace. Oh, he's the guy. He was spotted somewhere. I forget exactly where, but then he was never seen again. And they just found like a shirt or something covered in a bunch of blood. That's all they know. And then Jeffrey Edward Rhodes, his body was found in the landfill in April '89. He was also linked to the case, and he was pretty fucked up too. And the guy with his head chewed off by the dog apparently somehow might have been involved. That's a new one to me, but yeah. So I might have to up my count to 12. And to this day, nobody's ever been charged for these murders. Not even close. And oddly, the most recent witness that we had that showed up that was new was Billy Jack Haynes. And as I've already mentioned, he's standing as unfit to face trial in the murder trial for his wife, who apparently been killed. So I don't know what the hell that means either. I mean, did Vince McMahon shut him up, or did fucking Arkansas assholes and Dan Harmon? I don't fucking know. Maybe he's just a douchebag and likes, douchebag is a douchebag. To be honest with you, I doubt that he was there that night. Maybe in Arkansas, sure, but I don't think he was anywhere near those tracks that night because there's just no evidence, no proof of it. Charlene Wilson, who yes has indeed retracted her statement, but this is a statement that many people and police have been able to go back through, and Gene Duffy as well. They were able to go through and prove that most of everything in her statements was corroborated, or as we call it, basically, it's all true bits. So it's much higher, much more likely that she basically recanted that statement to keep the bad people from murdering her family members and stuff when she got out of prison. And it's sad, but what would you do? Fucking weird shit these days, man. And I have yet to ever find a case, and we're still not done with this one, mind you. I just figured maybe serious and last shit for the episode or whatever. But every other case that somebody wants to complain and bring up corruption and conspiracy and all this other stuff, like I've been saying over and over and over again, all of this is true to an extent. Dan Harmon did indeed go to jail for many, like 7 at least, bad felonies, extortion, money laundering, racketeering, bad shit. That was the district attorney, mind you. Okay, the sheriff. Well, good thing he died before anybody got any answers. And I'm guessing Charlene Wilson's retraction of her statement, I guess it kept her safe. I'm hoping I can find her and she's still alive, but yeah, I already read that one. It doesn't say anything. Holy shit. She's alive. Hey, she looks pretty good, actually. She's 67 years old now. From Clarksville, Tennessee. Oh, wait, never mind. She's dead, yo. Sorry. Is it the same person? That can't be the same person, is it? Hold on. Gotta find out. Whoever that person is, man, they I guess white don't crack. Or something, too, I guess. I'm trying to see. I doubt it's the same person. These people got so many common names in these fucking things. Yeah, I don't think it's the same person. But whoever the fuck that was, she aged pretty damn well. That's what I'm saying. Huh. Wait. Is that the person? I don't know. So I can get her phone number, but I can't. That's weird, but okay. Oh Lord, now we're going to see 5 million different Charlie Wilsons, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's figure out which one is actually her, if I can even where it shows from. Charlie Wilson, okay. And she just go here. And the part that she was probably from Arkansas, but I could be wrong, but figure that out. So today. Yeah. No, she was released in 1999 by Huckabee. Yeah, so. Mm. 30 years later, that probably means Western v. Arkansas, 30 years after her. That's just talking about that little bullshit charge that she got involving trafficking for like a little bit of stuff. Yeah, she could be given possession of marijuana, delivery of marijuana, and delivery of methamphetamine in possession of drug paraphernalia. And for those charges, she was 32 years. Is a fucking time ago. Seriously, for that. No, that's not her name. Spelling's not right. Well, honestly, it's pretty. If she did something smart like she should have done, she should have changed her whole fucking name and get the hell out of Arkansas and somehow just vanished. That's what I would have done. Apparently, January 1st, 2001, Charlene Wilson, 1 year after prison, she was visiting Southern California in March and was able to speak to any group that would like her testimony. Interesting. Is that her son? I think one of her sons just died. Maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, definitely not. There's too many people who call me fucking names. You would expect a lot of this information to be easily to access, but I've tried looking up. Let me try one more thing. Track her statements. Her testimony, whatever. Interesting. You can find shit on this. That bugs the fuck out of me. I can find all kinds of shit involving her drug arrest and the subsequent appealing things and all kinds of stuff involving things about her, as long as they don't somehow involve the murder of Kevin Ives and Ron Henry. And I guess Keith McCaskill, the first of the ones that died, the witnesses, was also reported to be at the tracks by Charlene. And it was later corroborated that he was in fact at the tracks that night. So, yeah. Man, I didn't find this chick or something. Somebody needs to, yeah, that's weird. But as I said, I've been getting comments on my last episode and everything else involving the boys on the tracks murders of locals and people that used to be locals and stuff. Um, some of the comments I had to remove because I had too much details about who they made the comments. Um, but as far as I've been told about Saline County, it has not changed at all in the past 40 years because it's just as crooked now as it was back when the boys were murdered in the 80s. I now have a bunch of questions in my mind I want to go through and figure out before the next episode. So I don't know. It might be tomorrow. It might be the next day after that. But I'd like to get this finished or something, at least for the moment in time. I got a weird feeling about this. I think something's going to happen. I just don't know yet what. All right. Well, no idea who's still there, but all y'all, thank you for those who came. Replay people, thank you for watching and all that other good stuff. That's what he's talking about. He's the one that requested the damn episode. Seriously, and then he just vanishes. But yeah. I swear to God, I seem to get more people watching when I just went up here and just talk a lot of shit. You know, I do when I play all these damn videos and crap. But yeah, as I said, thank you to everybody and have a great night. And figure some things out about this case and how I want to finish it. So, assalamu alaikum.